Testing microphone, testing. Yeah, we're going to start. Y feliz lunes. I hope y'all had a good 4th of July, whether you actually got out and did something or not. Yeah. We had a lot of people on the road and probably still a lot of people on the road. A lot of people still out of town. I've noticed a lot of our restaurants completely closed up because nobody in town to even go out to eat. People are out of town until the 1st of August here where I live. So people go on vacation.
I saw it was 88 degrees yesterday at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's true. That's true. It is 98 right now. As we speak, it is 98. I rode Sunday and it was 85 when we started. That does not encourage you to get out and do that exercise. Okay. Yeah, I'm suffering through it. Okay. Vamos a ver. Vamos a empezar. Vamos a practicar con reflexivos. Most of our time is going to be spent on reflexives. I do want, in case you were either A, too busy, or B, just thought, don't care. I'm going to play a very short version of the video about the method I would like you to try. This is not the long version that I sent you, but rather the short version of the video. So if you didn't watch it and don't want to confess, which is perfectly okay, by the way, because sometimes we just get busy and that's the way it is, no? But this is a method, and actually it's not new. I think it's been around for maybe 10 years. How did I never hear about this? Well, I didn't, but I was nosing around during this hiatus of a week we had off, and came across this, and a lot of people were saying, wow, this is something that really should be tried. And so I'm going to share the short version of it just to jog your memory about what it's about. It is not specifically about Spanish vocabulary or grammar, but rather about a different method that I would really encourage you to give a try for learning vocabulary and learning a lot of it and doing it in a way that will put it into long-term memory. So the point of this method, which is called the gold list method, is to put it into long-term memory. And it does have a scientific basis because they do have a general idea of how things get into our long-term versus our short-term memory. Okay. How many of you in the last, I don't know, and forever, how many of you forever have said, oh, shoot, I know that word. I know that word. I forgot it. I should know this word. I should know this word, but I don't. This is for, and we're all in that category. Unless you're one of these freakish people, I speak 20 languages. By the way, never believe that stuff that you see on that. I'm a polyglot and I speak 15 different languages. Yeah. How many words of those languages do you speak? Okay. This gives you the short down and dirty of how it works.
Talk Speak English here. Now, if you're watching this video right now, you're probably learning English, spending far too much time looking on the internet or on YouTube looking for effective ways to learn vocabulary. You've probably tried all the tried and tested methods of learning these complicated words, but nothing seems to stick. What if I told you that in today's video, I can show you how to learn English vocabulary and remember it in just 30 minutes a day?
I don't believe you.
It's not true. Stay tuned to find out how. In today's video, we're going to talk about a method that I've used myself to learn Spanish and has helped me learn thousands of new words with little effort. The method is called the gold list method, and the great thing about it is that all you need is an A4 notebook and a couple of pens to get started. We will call this notebook your bronze book. Don't worry, I will explain why it's called the bronze book a bit later in the video. This method makes use of something called spaced repetition. The idea that in order to be remembered, an item must be repeated and reviewed several times at long-term intervals before it can be remembered into your long-term memory. Start by opening up your notebook to a double page and write down 20 words or expressions for that day and their translations in your mother tongue with the date.
And what I want you to notice about this, and the reason we're doing this, is that people ask me questions in a different class about this. Can I do X, Y, Z? And the answer is usually yes. So X, Y, Z is, can I use whole phrases instead of just one single vocabulary word? Yes, you can, because you notice they do it here. So if you are trying to learn a chunk of words, meaning like 2 or 3 words that hang together, always in a phrase, yes, you can do that. Somebody else asked, hey, I'm really good with vocabulary, but I really struggle with verb conjugations, and I'm trying to learn like all kinds of past tense conjugations that have to be memorized. Can I use verb conjugations in this method? Absolutely, you could. You absolutely could if you're trying to learn whether they're irregular verbs. All these reflexives, which are 2 words, a pronoun and a verb together, you could absolutely put into your head lists. And the head list is always the very first page that you're doing, the very first time you write it. Now, I want you to notice also down here, he's got a date here. And of course, he's writing as the Brits do, with the date first and the month second. I put opposite. I put the date up in the upper left-hand corner. And I'll show you what my page looks like when we're done with this little 3-minute video here.
This is called the head list. For me, my target language was Spanish, and my native language, of course, is English. Spend 2 to 3 minutes looking over the expressions or words and repeating them 2 to 3 times to yourself. For the next 14 days, I want you to create a new head list every single day. It's important not to look at your old lists during this time, as this is where the magic happens. On day 15, I want you to come back to your first head list that you wrote on day 1 and see what you have remembered best. With the words you don't remember, write them down on the page next to your head list.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You have to wait. You spend, I'm going to say really at least 5 minutes looking at this very first list on the day you write it. And 2 weeks later, again, it's important to write the date so you know which date you're going back to. It's going to be important to write the date somewhere. You see which words you know off of this first list, and the words that you failed, the words that you didn't recall, they get written down in the second list. That is called the first distillation. And this second list is going to be the words you did not remember when you quizzed yourself, and you're going to date that again.
This is called distillation. Distillation basically means when you are refining your list and coming up with new words you still need to get into your long-term memory. 14 days after the second list, I want you to come back and do the same again. And now you wait another 2 weeks. You come back to this list that you write, and this particular list, again, the words you don't remember, you're going to write down in the next distillation. Okay, I want to point something out after we finish the next segment here. After that, another 14 days, and the same thing again. At this point, you've completed your head list and 3 distillations or 3 revisions of the words. Now, you can stop here, and this could be as far as you want to take the Gold List method, or you can start a new book. And this is where you repeat the process by combining all the words in your bronze book that you can't remember and putting them into new lists in your silver book. Once you've finished your silver...
Okay, so from here, I'm not going to go a lot further, but just so that we have a graphic representation. When you get to the 1, 2, 3, and he kind of took up mysteriously. Okay, so original list is on the left. 2 weeks later, you come back and see, you write down the ones you don't know. Another 2 weeks, you wait, you come back to this list, you see what you don't remember, you write down what you don't remember here, and now you wait another 2 weeks to do the last. This very last segment where you quiz yourself, those are the words that go into the second notebook if you choose to go that route, which, as you can see, what this is, it really forces you to be disciplined and to come back to things. Here's one thing I want to point out, because they don't talk about it in this, and I can't remember if the longer video that I actually signed for you to talk about this or not. When you move from this very first list that you wrote out to the first, what they call the distillation, which words did I forget on my first try through 2 weeks later? Here is what is normal, because people usually ask this question. Hey, from this very original list I wrote down, what is normal? How much should I remember that first time I come back after 2 weeks? How much should a normal person remember? Because this graphic doesn't really show you what is usual. What is normal for the average person is that you're only really going to remember about 30%. The average person only remembers about 30%, 1/3 of the things on this original list. That is what is to be expected. The average person is going to remember 30%. So this list is going to be actually rather long when you come back after the first 2-week hiatus of not looking back at the list again. So don't have an overexalted idea of I should have remembered at least half of these. That may not happen. It is normal to only be able to remember a small percentage. Okay.
So after a month, you would be making out a head list that day. Then you'd go back and you'd do a number 1 and a number 2 distillation, because by then you've got lots of lists.
Yeah. So I started
process.
out, I've got my French list. So here's so I'm going to need to go 2 whole weeks before I even come back for the first try through. And then another 2 weeks, you come by for the third try, and another 2 weeks. So yeah, it takes a while, but it is designed to work on your long-term memory. Now, some people say, I do the same thing, but I use flashcards. It is in some ways sort of similar, but it's a very routine thing to make you come back to those same lists. Okay. Also, if you happen to not create a new list, I didn't over the weekend because I got too busy. So I'll be starting back again today, picking up. Oh, well, where do you get the words that you put on your list? Go back to, books you've been using, go back to videos, go back to the short stories, pull things out of there. You can create your word list for words that are important to you. You can even just, look words up in the dictionary for that matter. And I would suggest www.wordreference.com because.
So Marilyn, I have a question. In that first bronze book, you make your list and you have the first and second and third distillations.
Right.
But don't you make multiple lists in that first bronze book?
You do.
Like that every day you make a new list.
So yes, every day you make a new list. So every single day you're making a new list. So you'll have one list here, and then I leave all this blank. And here's my next day list. And they're always different words. They're always different words. I took another list of new words. So you keep going on like that. So I won't even get back to that first list until 2 weeks from that date. And I'm going to take the little Post-it flags and stick those in. so that I remind myself of where to go back to. But that's why you have to also put your date in. You have to backtrack. Oh, what did I do 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I think once you kind of get yourself in the habit, it'll come naturally of where you trace back. Okay, Ian? Yeah, do give it a try. Give it a try if you can. And, if you go to your local Walmart or Target, they now, because we're past July 1st, they now have all the back to school things ready. So you'll find notebooks. I had to hunt. I have one notebook left in my whole house because I put everything on the computer. The other thing is that the other component to this that you may not realize is that actually writing things by hand is supposed to be far superior for putting things into your long-term memory as opposed to typing. Sadly, I write things longhand almost never now. I type everything in the computer because I'm a fast typist. And that is typing it does not put it into your long-term memory the way writing does by hand. It's a physiological thing of the connection between our muscle memory and your brain. And they've done studies on it. People far smarter than I am have done studies on this, and apparently it works. So I would like you to give it a try. Okay, Vale, bien?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
Are you working out of the silver book then also?
No, you're only
No.
working on, you would only be working on one book, but you're
Okay.
writing down a new list of words every single
day. Okay, so
So-
what's a silver book? What is it?
Okay, so what happens is when you get to you go from the original list,
Got it.
2 weeks later, one distillation, 2 weeks after that, second distillation, 2 weeks yet after that, third distillation. Those third distillation words, they go into the next book.
And where does that ever go then?
Where does that ever go?
Yeah.
Those are the words you use to build the second book.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it. Okay.
those are the
Third
words,
distillation.
right? And honestly, you'd be so far away from that now. What is that? Because it takes several weeks to get through this. Okay. So the list that's going to wind up being at the bottom of this, and I'm going to have to actually get a different book because this doesn't have enough space. The very last list you write in the book, those are the words that you still can't remember that go into the new book,
Okay.
and you just couple them together. Some people will tell you write down 20 or 25 words every day. I think really 15 to 20 for each day is plenty. I would put it at 15 to 20. Yeah, really. I wouldn't go over 20. I really wouldn't, because it's a little more than what the brain can really absorb in a day. So I would religiously not go over 20. And even 15 words a day would be plenty.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'll put the longer video to reference that in the email, just so that if you're interested in trying it, that gives more details on how this actually plays out. Okay. I just wanted to play
Marilyn,
that. See,
So on the 6th week, you're doing the third distillation of the first day, the second distillation of like the 15th day, and the first distillation of the 31st day.
yeah. I mean, you're
whatever.
coming back over and over, right, over a very long period of time.
And you're making a new list, Jeff.
And you're making
Yeah.
new lists on top of that every single day. Yeah. The longer video really does explain it better because
Okay.
it'll show you step by step. But yeah, I mean, you got to remember, you're not making that list and then coming back to it the next day. You're waiting 2 weeks till you're coming back to that list. So, and don't be disappointed if all you remember is 30% of that list. You're normal. That's the point. You're coming back and seeing what you don't remember and trying to work that again.
Marilyn, I have a question.
Sí, dime.
So if we've been learning some words. So, so if we start off with words we kind of already know, is that pointless? Is
No,
it better
not
to just go with
necessarily.
words you don't know at all, never heard of?
Let me give you an example. There are some
Mhm.
people, I've been doing we've been doing food theme
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
summer with one of my evening groups. And, hey, take a look at these 6 dishes. And I want you to talk about what are the ingredients you're going to use and how are you going to fix this? So they're talking about, I put ingredients X, Y, Z into this. First, I saute, then I stir, then okay, you get the idea. No, first I cut, then I saute, then I stir. Okay. So they're using all the verbs in there.
Mhm.
These are folks who've been doing this for a while. It's like, oh, I know that word. I know that. If you can't bring it to mind after about 10 or 15, 30 seconds, you don't
You
know
don't
it.
know it.
You don't know.
You kind of know it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's okay to look at words you already have seen, but you haven't really internalized. That's the point.
Okay.
Okay.
See. Okay. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I knew people would have questions. It's pretty normal. Okay. Bien.
Yeah, thank you.
Vale. Okay. So I do encourage you to give it a try. If you need some suggestions for what do I build in a word list, then email me and I can give you some further suggestions on that. Here is the ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? Momentito. I'm going to put on screen the list of questions you need to get ready for breakout rooms soon. Oh, this thing here. Yeah, we had 4 questions, and actually we're going to do those pretty soon, but then we've got new ones down here. And this is going to take us most of class. Okay. We're going to take these 4 right here and do them not in small breakout sessions, but together right now. So that's why I've got them highlighted. I'm going to make these bigger, but you will want to find the other questions for when you go into breakout room time. Okay, and I'm going to put the little translation after them. And we're going to do these as our warm up. Uy, ¿qué pasó? Kicked me out of my proper keyboard. Okay. Bien. Here's a translation. Cuando te quedas en casa? These are all using reflexives. Our theme is reflexives, but our theme is going to be a little bit about, well, why are those reflexive, and kind of getting used to that. And just making sure you get used to the patterns. A lot of people say, how do I recognize a reflexive verb? Well, sadly, you just have to get used to a lot of them. And we are going to look a little bit at the reasons, because just saying that it's an action that you do, you do the action, the subject does the action and also receives the action, doesn't necessarily always cut it for understanding. Sometimes you have to just accept this verb is reflexive and go with it. But what it effectively means for you is that you're just remembering, I must use a little pronoun along with the verb, because in Spanish we get very used to just using the verb with no pronoun. Como chocolates, I eat chocolates. Okay, and I don't say yo como chocolates, yo como los chocolates. I don't use the yo como, right? We get used to forget the pronoun. You don't need the pronoun, but with these reflexives, you must have the pronouns. So that's why we have to get used to practicing that, because that little pronoun must come in there. ¿Dónde te reúnes con tus amigos? Where do you meet up with
Your friends?
Yeah, your friends. Where do you meet up with your friends? ¿Cuándo te enojas? When do you get mad? When do you get mad? And wow, you know what? The hardest thing with switching between English and Spanish keyboards is that my punctuation marks all go to different keys. I should have a gold list for that. Where's the key for that punctuation? ¿Cuándo te pones? Oh, ¿cuándo te pones ropa formal? When? Yeah. Do you put on formal clothes? See, a ver. Okay, and because I've got you on share, and I've got
one more question, Marilyn.
Sí, dime.
It's when you were saying reflexive versus non-reflexive verbs.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get Carrie to give me the right answer for this earlier this week. If I wanted to just say Bob eats chocolate, but you don't know which one, do I have to say Bob? Como?
Not no.
Just Bob.
Is with a person's name is what we use with gustar.
Okay.
Because with gustar, the person isn't really doing the action. Gustar is corresponding to the thing that is liked. And that is because gustar really means gives pleasure.
Okay.
Pleases. Right. So Bob come. Bob come. Bob come carne. Bob eats meat. So he's not a vegetarian. We can go to eat wherever we want. Right. Bob come carne. Yeah, he eats meat. Okay. We don't need to find a veggie restaurant for him.
I just wasn't sure when to use the Bob, so you clarified it.
Bob, it's going to be a gustar or a verb like gustar, but that's a little different can of words. But it's not, none of these verbs fall into that category. Zero. Okay. So yes, that might be a little confusing because don't we use a little pronoun with gustar? Me gusta, te gusta, le gusta. Yeah, we do. But those are indirect object pronouns. They're not reflexive pronouns. Okay. So yeah, así es. Okay. Buena pregunta. Good question. And now when I share the screen here, where I want us to work this together, I will not be able to see you. So don't raise your hand because I won't see you because of the way my thing is working here. Bien. You can all see the questions, right? See?
Sí.
Okay. Antes de practicar en grupos pequeños, before working in small groups, we're going to work all together because these are the leftover questions, okay? ¿Cuándo te quedas en casa? I'm going to start with my answer, okay? And then I want you to give some answers you might have that might be different. Cuando means we're giving a when. Ooh, we got to incorporate a time-related issue when I answer. So I need both a verb, a me quedo, I stay, and then a time-related part of that answer. Entonces, ¿cuándo te quedas en casa? Me quedo en casa los lunes. Me quedo en casa los lunes. I stay home on Mondays. Monday is my time element. Your time element might be different. Otra manera de contestar, a different way of answering that, but with a different time element. ¿Alguien? Anybody?
Me quedo en casa cuando hace mucho calor.
Me quedo en casa cuando hace mucho calor. When it's really hot. Excelente. ¿Qué más? What else?
Me quedo en casa cuando llueve.
Cuando llueve. When it rains. Cuando llueve. When it rains. Fantástico. ¿Qué más?
Me quedo en casa en las tardes.
Las tardes.
In the afternoon.
Por la tarde. In the afternoon. Sí. Exacto. And make sure it's me quedo. I know it's very phonetic, but QUE, QUE is one of those it bites you. I know you think it
Okay.
should be cuero, but QUE is always que.
Okay.
That
Thank
you
you.
has a job, kind of like, our English uses QU. We never see Q without a U. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But the U is actually silent there. Me quedo, me quedo. Bien, bien. Okay, fantástico. ¿Qué más? What other ways might we answer this?
Me quedo en casa cuando muy enfermo. Enfermo.
Cuando estoy enferma.
Estoy enferma.
Enferma. Cuando estoy enferma. When I am sick. Excelente. Otro, any other?
Me quedo cuando duermo. I'm trying to say when I sleep, but I can't say
Cuando
it.
duermo.
Cuando duermo.
Cuando
Okay, did right.
duermo. Exacto. Me quedo en casa cuando duermo. Bien, bien. Okay. Otro. Any other?
Me quedo en casa las noches.
Las noches. Me
Las
quedo en
noches.
casa las noches. Por la noche. And there, if you're saying like time of day, you can keep it very general and say por la noche, por la noche, por la tarde in the afternoon, por la mañana in the morning, lo que sea, whatever it may be. And, then it really does mean sort of generally, always is
So
what the
what's the
inference.
difference between por or de la mañana? De la mañana.
De la
You could take-
mañana. Buena pregunta. Good question. This is one of those little preposition things. Por la mañana, por la tarde, por la noche, we don't say at the morning, do we? In the morning, in the afternoon, at night. We don't say in the night very much in English, do we? No. Maybe poetically in a song, but otherwise we don't. Okay. De la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche, de with clock time. Okay. Entonces, un ejemplo. Me quedo en casa a la una de la tarde. At 1 p.m.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So we usually attach de la mañana, de la tarde, de la noche with a clock time. Bien? Okay. A las 5 de la tarde, a las 10 de la noche, etcétera. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? Bien.
Gracias.
De nada. Ok, vamos a trabajar. Here's the rest of our little warm-up before small groups. ¿Dónde te reúnes con tus amigos? ¿Dónde te reúnes? Where do you get together? And we're going to need this in our answer. Me reúno. Me reúno. And that's kind of tricky because I've got a couple of vowels hanging. Ooh, yeah, that's a little tricky to pronounce. Me reúno. Reúno. Me reúno. Me reúno con mis amigos. And now I need a place. Un lugar. I need a place. Okay, mi ejemplo es me reúno con mis amigos en el parque. En el parque. At the park. Me reúno con mis amigos en el parque. Okay. Otro. Another. A different thing.
Me reúno con mis amigos en restaurante.
En el restaurante. Muy normal. Muy normal. There is a usual place to meet up. Bien. ¿Qué más?
Me reúno con mis amigas en el lago.
En el lago. Bien. Sí. Si hay un lago, if there's a nice lake, sí, claro. Un lago. Me parece fantástico. Wow, a lake seems wonderful. I can't get in the one that's in my town because it's full of wastewater, recycled wastewater. Okay. Bien. Es agua reciclada. Es agua reciclada y no se puede nadar en el agua. Ok. No se puede meter en el agua. You cannot get in the lake. Ok. Bien. ¿Qué más?
Me reúnen con mis amigos en Starbucks.
En Starbucks, muy normal, sí, en un café, en Starbucks, exacto. Bien, bien, ok, vale. Esto es más complicado. This one's a little more complicated. When do you get mad? Cuando literally you make yourself mad? Wow, why is this reflexive? This is reflexive because it talks about an emotional reaction. Okay, the anger wells up inside of me and yeah, splats all over. Yeah, and I explode. And I do need a little pronoun here because I myself am the person getting mad. So when I answer that, cuando contesto, I need both the pronoun and the verb. So it will sound like this. Me enojo, me enojo. I get mad. Me enojo cuando mi familia no ayuda con limpiar. Me enojo cuando mi familia no ayuda con limpiar. I get mad when my family doesn't help with cleaning. Con limpiar, probably it would be better to say con la limpieza, because this is a chore with cleaning. Yeah, the work that is the job of cleaning. Okay. Un poquito más complicado. This is a little more complicated. Yeah, I probably need to attach another little extra sentence to it. Okay. Me enojo cuando. Otra idea. Another idea?
Me enojo cuando escucho las noticias.
Muy normal. Me enojo cuando escucho las noticias. I get mad when I listen to the news. Sí, eso es. Ok. ¿Qué más?
Me enoja cuando hago algo estúpido.
Okay. But me enojo.
Me enojo.
Yeah, not me enoja, but me enojo. You can say me enoja, but that's when something else makes you angry. But yeah, sí. Me enojo cuando cometo errores. I get mad when I make mistakes. Cuando cometo errores. Bien, ok, normal. Bueno, otra idea, another idea.
Me enojo cuando no puedo encontrar mis llaves.
Sí, me enojo cuando no puedo encontrar mis llaves. I get mad when I can't find my keys. Así es, sí, exacto. Bien. Me enojo cuando mi vecino hace mucho ruido.
Noisy.
When he makes a lot of noise. Yeah, when my neighbor makes a lot of noise. I've got a neighbor who fixes car audio systems.
Oh boy.
Ooh. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, a las 2 de la tarde, 2 in the afternoon. And you got hip hop blasting from the let's test that bass. Yeah. Okay. Vale, bien. Okay. Ahora algo menos difícil, something a little bit less difficult. ¿Cuándo te pones ropa formal? ¿Cuándo te pones ropa formal? I'm going to remind you that this has an oddball form for the yo form. Me pongo. Think of a pogo stick, but put an N in there. Me pongo ropa formal. Me pongo ropa formal para Para ir a una boda. I put on formal clothes to go to a wedding. Para ir a una boda.
Can I say the same concept, but cuando voy a boda?
Exacto. Cuando voy a una, sí. También correcto. Also correct. There are a variety of things we can combine. Sí. Cuando voy a una boda, when I go to a wedding. Perfecto. Ok. ¿Qué más?
Me pongo ropa formal cuando tengo una reunión con mi jefa.
Cuando tengo una, sí, when I've got a meeting or get
with my
together, right? Sí, exacto. Muy bien. ¿Qué más?
Can't remember the last time I put on formal clothing.
Would this be correct? Me nunca pongo ropa formal?
Nunca me pongo.
Nunca me pongo.
Nunca me pongo. I never put on. Nunca me pongo. And notice the me pongo always has to hang together. I can't say me nunca pongo.
Okay.
Nunca me pongo, because the me pongo have to stick together. Yeah. Nunca me pongo, or you can express it as no me pongo nunca. So with the word nunca, never, it either comes right up front as the first word, or it can swing to the back behind the verb.
Okay.
But if it swings to the back, I've got to have a double negative. Nunca me pongo, or no me pongo nunca. Bien?
Bien,
Vale.
gracias.
De nada.
Then you put ropa formal after the nunca. When you do that, when you do the double negative.
Double negative. No me ponga nunca ropa formal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Bien? Yeah, out here, never is a common answer. Okay. Bien? Okay. Fantastico. That's our little warm up. What we want to do is we're going to take these next 12 into little chunks. And the first one is going to work a lot on irse, which means to go away. Go away. And then we've got one, ponerse, put on, put something on. Okay. Vale, momentito. Let me share these with you now. And you see these on the screen. If you didn't print them out or you can't bring it up on a separate computer, I will send these out into the Zooms. I want you to work only on 1 through 4. 1, 2, 3, y 4. Las primeras 4 preguntas, the first 4 questions. Al final de tu última fiesta, ¿cuándo se van? ¿Cuándo se van tus invitados? When do your guests leave? When do they take off? When do they go? And we'll talk more about why irse is what it is. But irse, you should think of as take off, split, leave, get out. Okay. Think of it as not going to a place. And notice, I am not mentioning a place after se va or se van or te vas. I'm just saying leave, not mentioning the place. So when do your guests leave? Número 2, when you or when your husband or when your wife or when your significant other, leaves the house for work. What time do they leave? ¿A qué hora se va? ¿A qué hora se va? So you're talking not about yourself, but about the significant other, the other person in your household. ¿A qué hora se va? What time do they leave? Cuando vas a un parque o al zoológico con los niños, when you go to the park or maybe the zoo with little kids, ¿cuándo te vas? When do you go? When do you leave? When do you leave? Okay. And then one that does not have irse, but it has ponerse, to and this is ponerse, not with putting on yourself, but ponerse, I'm sorry, ponerse, not putting clothing on, but ponerse with a feeling. When we use ponerse with a description, it means to get a certain way. Cuando te pones nervioso, or if you're a lady, cuando te pones nerviosa. Okay. Por ejemplo, me pongo nerviosa. I get nervous. Me pongo nerviosa cuando hablo en público, when I speak in public. Por ejemplo. Okay. We use ponerse not just for putting on clothing, but for getting ourselves into a state. Yeah. When you want to say somebody becomes happy, gets nervous, turns red, blushes, they use ponerse with rojo. So ponerse with a description, not clothing, means to get into that state. Bien? Okay. I want you to practice those four with your partners. Make sense? See?
Yeah.
Vale? Okay. And we're going to put you in with groups of about, I want to try to get people into maybe groups of 3. Uy, ¿cuántos somos? Vamos a ver. Vale, see, okay, we've got about, and most we've got there, a couple of you are in groups of 2, but most of you are in groups of 3. Okay, and I will put this out into the Zoom room once you hit your join button, and then come on back and we'll see what answers you got. Wow, looks like you lost your partner.
Yeah.
Want to practice with me? Practice with me.
Sure. Okay.
And I don't know, can you still see the
Let's see.
the questions?
Let me go back to that.
If I join your room, I don't know if that.
Right in front of me. So I was trying to say that they leave in the morning.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
leave in the morning.
Okay. Are you
I
on
don't have it in front of
the
me.
second one, the esposo? Sí.
Oh, no, well,
¿A
I
qué
was on the
hora
first
se va? Or the first one?
I was doing the first one.
Okay.
I was, and everybody left.
¿Cuándo se van? So here it is. ¿Cuándo se van? When do they go? Los invitados, your guests. ¿Cuándo se van? When do they leave?
Se van en mañana.
No, se van
Okay.
los invitados en mañana.
Los invitados se van en la mañana, por la mañana, either way you can say it. Sí, los invitados. Mis invitados se van a las 10 de la noche o a las 11 de la noche. Okay, bien. Let's look at the next one.
Okay.
If you're talking about whoever is sharing your living space with you, you know, husband, wife, friend, whoever. Okay. And they're going off to work. Okay. ¿A qué hora se va? ¿A qué hora se va? What time do they take off?
Ahora, no. Okay, ahora mi
And I'm going to give you a little clue.
Chico,
Just start off with se va, they leave.
Se va,
Then
okay.
tag your time on to the end.
Okay. Se va 11.
Okay. 11 is good. You want to say 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So with a time, we're going to say a las 11.
A las 11.
A las 11. The las stands for the hour, hours of the day. Okay. A las 11.
LAS, las.
Las, right. A las 11. Okay. Mi esposo se va. Mi esposo se va a las 9.
Oh.
Se va a las 9.
9 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Sí, okay. A las, and then the number, because the number is going to tell the time from your watch. A las 9. Se va, he takes off. Se va a las 10 at 10. Se va a la 1, leaves at 1. Lo que sea, whatever it may be. Okay, bien? Okay, a ver, let's look at when you take kiddies to the park. ¿Cuándo te vas? When do you leave when you take kids to the park? ¿Cuándo te vas?
Me va. Me
voy.
Me voy.
There you go. And now it's got to
Um,
match because I'm talking about yo. It's me with voy. Me voy.
Okay. Me voy a la 8.
Bien, a las 8. Perfecto, perfecto. Ok, bien. ¿Cuándo te pones nerviosa? When do you get nervous? Me pongo nerviosa cuando hablo francés. Me pongo nerviosa
Sí.
cuando hablo francés. ¿Y tú? But notice, me pongo, me with a yo verb, me pongo. Okay, you try it.
Me pongo nervioso. Habla español
Cuando-
y francés.
Cuando hablo español y francés. Cuando hablo español y francés. Entiendo. Sí. Bien, bien. Okay. So now, couple little things. Remember, when you talk about yourself being nervous, you're going to make that into a feminine form. Now, does that mean somebody doesn't understand you? No, it doesn't mean, if you make that mistake, does that mean somebody, no, they get the big eye picture. They get the big picture. It's just that you've got the form wrong. And you should know too, there are native speakers who sometimes, they sometimes make mistakes with gender too. It is a thing that is not exclusive to those of us learning it secondhand. Sometimes you get all wrapped up in the conversation, you get so far away from and you forget and they forget and they just inject the word. They do that too. So there it goes. Okay. 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 I'm going to bring everybody back. We're going to share some ideas. We're going to share some ideas, but I didn't want you hanging out there alone. I don't know if your partner had to leave or if they just got sometimes, you know, your internet can fail too. Boy, that happens sometimes. Okay, we're
Right.
going to close the rooms. But I think you're going to be in because I'm not really closing you out. I think it'll keep you in here. Okay.
Says leave breakout room / select
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah. Oops, there we go. Okay. And I'm going to make sure it's, oh yeah, okay. Good. I can see now that everybody got the message that they're coming back in. So people will meander back in when they can. Some people finish earlier, some not as early. You know, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fantástico. Nos faltan casi 6 personas. We're missing about 6 people yet. They'll be coming in very soon. I'm sure. Estoy segura de que van a reunirse con nosotros. I'm sure they're going to meet up with us. Aquí vienen. Here comes everybody back. Aquí vienen todos. Here comes everybody. Okay. Bueno. Unos ejemplos, some examples of some things that you answered in there.
Okay, Marilyn, so I have a question.
Sí, sí, dime, Mary.
Okay, well, and I put it through the Spanish dictionary, which I just probably use that more than the word reference, but I have mis los invitados se fueron a las 11 de la noche. So reflexive, correct?
Okay, still reflexive, but we're going to put this up. Uy, qué buena pregunta. Okay. And I'm keeping this in present because you don't know past yet. And because ir is very irregular. Voy, vas, va. Where does that V come from? There's no V in ir. In past, it's also irregular. So if you want to say, my guests, mis invitados, and if you want to make it past instead of right now, okay? My guests left. They went away. They left. It is this, se fueron. It's still reflexive. It's still got that se, but it's got a different tense on the end. So what I was trying to prompt you with is se van. When you have a party, when do they normally leave? Generally, when do they leave? Okay, se van. But if you wanted to say they went, they left, you need this oddball. Where does that F come from? Ir. There's no F in ir. That's the past tense for irse. Se fueron. They took off. Okay. Bien?
Okay, thank you.
Vale. That's why I gave you that answer, and that is correct. Se fueron. They left. They took off. Okay. Vale. Más. Any more? What kind of time things did you tag on?
I did okay, so I said mis invitados salen temprano.
Oh, temprano, muy early. That general, yeah, it might not be a time of day. It might be muy temprano, early, or it might be the opposite, tarde, late, right? Sí, that still tells you about a general time. Vale, perfecto. Okay, ¿qué más?
Mis invitados se van a la medianoche.
Oh, a medianoche, a la medianoche, a la medianoche. Okay, bien, midnight, bien.
So do you have, you don't need a time or thing?
No, not necessarily. Not, you can, yeah, a response like temprano, early, still is talking about time, even though it's not a time on the watch, yeah? It can be,
can you say terminé?
Por la noche, o cuando termina la fiesta, when the party ends.
So
yeah,
sí.
Does that still talk about when? Yes, it does. Sí se puede, Danita. Yeah, you sure can. Eso es. Okay, vale. Buenas preguntas. Okay. when your significant other or your friend or whoever leaves the house, sale de la casa, when they leave for work, ¿a qué hora se va? Now here I am asking for a time. ¿A qué hora is not asking early or late. It's saying a time. ¿Cuándo se va? ¿A qué hora se va? So se va, everything starts with se va, right?
Mi esposo se va a la 10.
A las 10. Se va a las 10.
A las
10. A las is always what we use before we get to the hour, because hour is la hora. When we talk about a time on the watch, it's got to be a las, unless it's the 1 o'clock hour, then it's a la. Okay, bien. Okay, fantástico. Se va a las 11, se va a las 10, se va al mediodía, leaves at noon, you know, whatever time. Se va a las 7, leaves at 7, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Okay, when you take little kids to the park or to the zoo, ¿cuándo te vas? When do you take off? ¿Cuándo te vas? And we need to answer with a yo, so it's me voy, me voy.
Me voy.
No me voy con niños, me voy con mi esposo.
No me voy con niños. I don't go with, me voy con mi esposo. Okay. Doesn't answer the when, but you're telling us you go with somebody else. That's okay. See? Me voy. Me voy.
Voy a las 2 o más temprano.
Okay, bien, bien. And again, you could be general. Me voy temprano. Me voy, you can give a watch client, a clock time. Me voy a las 8. Me voy.
Me voy cuando los niños están cansados.
Sí, me voy cuando los niños están cansados. I leave when the kids get tired. Así es, okay. Me voy a las 5. I take off at 5. Okay, vale. ¿Cuándo te pones nerviosa? ¿Cuándo te pones nervioso? When do you get nervous? Me pongo. And if you're a woman talking about yourself, it must be nerviosa. Me pongo nerviosa. Okay. Unos ejemplos, some examples.
Me pongo nervioso.
Oh, go ahead.
You go. Oh, no, after you go.
Cindy, go ahead first. Cindy.
Yes.
Primera.
Me pongo nerviosa cuando yo voy al dentista.
Oh, me pongo nerviosa cuando voy al dentista, when I go to the dentist. Sí, muy normal, muy normal. Okay, bien, sí. Okay, vale. Bueno, ¿qué más? What else?
Me pongo nerviosa cuando conduzco.
Me pongo nervioso cuando conduzco, when I drive. Sí, me pongo. And everybody make sure you try me pongo. We want a nice me pongo. Sí, me pongo. Okay, bueno, buena respuesta, good answer. Algo más, something more, something different.
Me pongo nerviosa cuando tengo que dar un discurso.
Me pongo nerviosa cuando tengo que dar un discurso, when I have to give a speech. Uy, sí, muy normal, muy normal. Bien. Okay. ¿Algo más? Something more?
Me pongo nervioso cuando tengo que hablar español.
Sí. Me pongo nerviosa cuando hablo español. Cuando tengo que hablar español. Normal, normal. Okay, vale, bien. Okay, we're going to take a look at the next group of 4. Cuatro. We're going to take a look at the next group of 4. Okay, and I only want you to look at 5 hasta 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, y 8. Okay. And one of them, I already give you the verb and you're answering, you're filling in the end of this one, not really answering a question. You're filling in on the end on all these. It's completa la frase, finish the sentence, right? Completa la frase. And I give this one to you in the past because the context is the past instead of the present. Normally, you would think this verb should be nos conocemos, but nos conocimos means we met. Because when you met somebody, that happened once, right? And then it's over, so it's a past thing. So I give that to you as the prompt. Mi mejor amigo y yo nos conocimos. My best friend and I, we met, and you're going to fill in the end. Might be when, might be where, might be how old I could be, or might be a place, whatever. Okay. Hace muchos años que, nombre. Oh, we got to fill in 2 names. Hace muchos años. It makes many years that this person and this person know each other. And it might be easier maybe to talk about famous people, but well, maybe not. I guess you don't have to. So-and-so, okay, what you're saying is so-and-so and so-and-so, they've known each other for a long time. And it won't necessarily have to be famous people. I'll take that part out. Okay, but when you're talking about people have known each other, the hace muchos años is you just plug that in. It means for a long time. That's all it means. Okay. Por ejemplo, I'm going to give you an example, and I am going to fill in a famous person thing. George Lucas okay, I got to plug it in first. Hace muchos años que. Hace muchos años que. For many years. Hace muchos años que George Lucas y Steven Spielberg se conocen. They've known each other for a long time. Okay, bien. I just plugged in names. That's all. You're not answering a question. You're plugging in information. Okay. Me pongo las sandalias en el verano. Me pongo las sandalias. I put on sandals. Me pongo las sandalias en el verano. In the summertime. We're talking about what kind of clothes you wear in the summertime. Okay. 8. Siempre me acuerdo de. I always remember. Siempre me acuerdo de. Me acuerdo de is a chunk of words that means I remember. Siempre me acuerdo de la comida de mi abuela. Siempre me acuerdo de la comida de mi abuela. I always remember my grandma's food. Bien? Me acuerdo de, you can fill in with people, you can fill in with things, you can fill in with anything, but you're going to just complete those ideas, and you'll see that when we send you out. We had some folks who had to drop, so I'm going to kind of modify my breakout rooms here. Ooh, o quizás no, maybe not. 4. Okay. Bien. Okay. Vale. We'll open that up and I'll send those out in breakup room once you join. Ok. Vamos a reunirnos dentro de poco, dentro de poco. Ok. Y muy bien. Esperamos a quizás 4 o 5 personas más. Aquí bien. Here comes everybody back. Excelente. Muy bien. Okay. And the whole point of doing this is just, again, using different reflexive verbs so you get used to the idea of they're going to happen every once in a while, and just be prepared that when you hear it in the prompt, we need to include it in an answer. Okay. Different ways you've finished up some of those ideas. Mi mejor amigo y yo nos conocimos. Nos conocimos. We met.
Cuando nos hijas juega al fútbol juntos.
Ah, bien, sí. ¿Fútbol americano o fútbol?
Fútbol.
Fútbol. Okay. Fútbol, soccer, bien, sí. Ok, buena respuesta. ¿Qué más? What other ideas? ¿Qué otras ideas? Mi mejor amigo y yo, my best bud and I, nos conocimos. We met. We met each other. It's a reflexive, but it's a reciprocal action.
I have one.
Sí.
Mi mejor amiga y yo nos conocimos hace más años pasado en Alexandria, Egipto.
Ok, bien. Ok. Bien, bien. Mi mejor amigo y yo nos conocimos en la escuela. Nos conocimos en el barrio, in the neighborhood. Bien, sí. Nos conocimos en la iglesia. Maybe you met your friend at church group. Así, ¿no? Okay, vale. Do you have any interesting combinations for people who know each other very well? Se conocen, they know each other. It's a reciprocal thing, and it's got to be, they know each other. People who know each other?
Hace muchos años que Joe Biden y Mitch McConnell se conocen.
Se conocen, sí, sí, porque trabajaban en el gobierno, because they've worked in the government for a long time. Exacto, muy bien. Buena idea. ¿Qué más?
Hace muchos años que Ben Roethlisberger y Maurice Pouncey se conocen porque ellos jugó fútbol de americano juntos.
Fútbol americano. Okay, sí, fútbol americano. Okay, people who are in sports together. Exacto. ¿Algo más?
Hace muchos años que Brad Pitt y Jennifer Aniston se conocen desde hace muchos años.
Perfecto, sí. Hace muchos años que, sí. Hace muchos años que is something you may want to put in a gold list. Yeah, hace muchos años que, for a long time. Yeah, hace muchos años que Brad Pitt y Jennifer Aniston se conocen. They've known each other for a long time. Okay, many, many, many years. Okay, perfecto. Me pongo. What kind of clothing do you put on the summertime? And now we're not talking about me pongo nerviosa. I get nervous, but rather I actually put on a physical thing. Me pongo something en el verano, in the summertime. Me pongo
las gafas de sol.
Las gafas de sol. Las gafas de sol o los lentes del sol. There are different ways to say glasses. Los lentes del sol o las gafas de sol. Sí. ¿Qué más?
Me pongo ropa de colores claros.
Colores fuertes, bright colors?
Light.
Okay. De colores claros. Sí. Sí.
Claro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bien. Sí, perfecto. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más?
Me pongo mi camisa con de manga corta en el verano.
Sí, una camisa con manga
corta.
corta, short sleeve. Me pongo la camisa sin manga, without,
Sí,
without,
sí.
sin manga, sin manga, manga es sleeve, manga corta, short sleeve, sí, normal, sin manga, sleeveless, sí, eso es.
Camisita. Camiseta.
Camisetas, t-shirt, sí, perfecto, perfecto. Me pongo la crema solar.
Sí.
Me pongo la crema solar
Yeah, sunscreen.
en el verano. Bien, we can talk about not even clothing, but stuff you put on yourself. Sí, me pongo un sombrero.
Sombrero, sí.
Un sombrero.
En el verano, ¿no? Me
En el
pongo un
verano.
sombrero. Ok. Me pongo pantalones cortos.
Cortos. Yeah.
Me pongo pantalones cortos. Ok, bien. Siempre me acuerdo de, I always remember. Siempre me acuerdo de. Me acuerdo de can go on a list. Me acuerdo de. All those little words
Me
have to hang together.
acuerdo de.
Me acuerdo de. Me acuerdo de. ¿Qué?
Mi boda.
Mi boda, my wedding. Sí, muy normal, fantástico. Ok, bueno, ¿qué más?
Me acuerdo. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Me acuerdo de comida de madre.
Bueno, sí, excelente. La comida de mi madre, excelente. Muy bien, Pat.
Siempre me acuerdo de nuestro aniversario.
I always remember my anniversary. Sí, es otra cosa que la boda, ¿no? Sí, siempre me acuerdo de mi aniversario. Muy bien, sí. Vale, bueno, ¿qué más? Okay, last one we're going to do all together because we're coming up to the hour here. We're going to share these all together. And again, when I put this share screen on, I will not be able to see you. So please be aware if you put your hand up, I won't see it. It's not that I am ignoring you. Okay, we're going to take a look at these last four together and save ourselves a little bit of time. Nunca me acuerdo de. I never remember. Never. Nunca me acuerdo de. I never remember. Es terrible. Nunca me acuerdo del cumpleaños de mi sobrino. I never remember my nephew's birthday. Nunca me acuerdo. Es terrible. Nunca me acuerdo del cumpleaños, birthday, de mi sobrino. ¿Ok? ¿Algo más?
Nunca me acuerdo de el número de mi nueva tarjeta de crédito.
Nunca me acuerdo de. Nunca me acuerdo de un número en la tarjeta de crédito. Sí, es un número muy largo, ¿no? Normal. Ok, nunca me acuerdo de.
¿De dónde me pongo mi celular?
Nunca me acuerdo de dónde pongo mi celular, where I put my cell phone. Sí.
So wait, would that be me pongo?
No, because I'm
you're not putting it on.
Right. Yeah, it's not this. So yeah, pongo by itself. See, pongo by itself is just pongo. I put something in a place. You know, I put it on the desk. I put it in a pocket. I put it on shelf. I put it in my purse. lo que sea, whatever it might be.
Okay.
Perfecto. Ok. Nunca me acuerdo de.
Nunca me acuerdo de apagar mi horno porque no escucho el timbre.
Ah, ok, bien, sí, sí, exacto, fantástico. Yeah, turning stuff off. Oh, sometimes we never remember to turn stuff off or turn stuff on. Así es. Ok, bueno, a ver, let's take a look at 10. No me duermo bien. I don't fall asleep, not sleep, but fall asleep. No me duermo bien. ¿Cuándo?
No me duermo bien cuando hace calor en el dormitorio.
Ah, cuando sí, no me duermo bien cuando hace calor. When it's hot. Sí, uy, sí,
Sí.
normal. Sí, esto sí lo pasa. Sí, eso pasa así. Bueno, ¿qué más?
No me duermo bien cuando hay ruido.
Cuando hay
Ruido.
ruido,
Is
sí. Perfecto. Cuando hay ruido. When there's noise.
Oh, Dios.
Sí, así es. Bien, bien, bien. Bueno, ¿qué más?
No me duermo bien cuando mis hijas salen por la noche.
Bien, sí. Exacto. No me duermo bien cuando los perros del vecino ladran. Guau, 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 guau. Bien, sí, así es. Ok. Bueno, número 11, aquí. Por lo general, generally, por lo general, me despierto. And I'm talking Monday through Friday. So we're probably looking at a clock time, but it might not be. It could just be an early or late. Sí, por lo general me despierto. And we need a time. We need an a las. An a las.
A las 6.
A las 6.
a las 10.
A las 10.
A las 7.
Okay. Bien, so, a las 6, a las 7, a las 8:30. We generally want a time there, right? And we're looking at just Monday through Friday. Okay. Pero el fin de semana me levanto. On the weekend, I get up. Not wake up, but get up. Actually, move out of bed is the me levanto, get up. El fin de semana me levanto
Tarde.
me levanto tarde, me levanto, you could put a watch time, a las
10.
A las 10, a las 9, así, like that, ¿sí? Bien, okay, bien. What I want you to get used to is that there is a wealth of, there are gobs of verbs that just are reflexive, but they might indicate different ideas, okay? So we're going to kind of wrap up with a real general idea of what are these about. We're going to just kind of do a summary, and then I'm going to give you what is going to be homework for the coming week, which is going to focus on something a little more specific, but it will still be kind of the reflexive question. Okay, so reflexives do indicate actions that a person does it, therefore you conjugate it for that person, but they also receive the benefit of that action. They receive the action as well. They do the action and receive the action. That is always the first definition that people are given for what's a reflexive verb. So it might be that, like me levanto, I lift up my whole body, me levanto, right? The verb might denote an emotional response, like me enojo, I get mad. Sometimes verbs are reflexive because they indicate not really somebody doing an action to themselves. I mean, that won't make sense in English. It kind of makes sense in Spanish, but it's an emotional response. I get this certain way. So verbs like fall in love are reflexive. Verbs like get mad are reflexive, right? Verbs like I become happy are reflexive sometimes, not just estoy contenta, I am happy, right? But me alegro, which is a different way of saying I'm happy, me alegro, I am happy. So sometimes they indicate an emotional response. Sometimes reflexives add emphasis to an action. And this is a little hard to explain, but it's kind of like saying comer when versus comerse. Comerse does not mean to eat yourself. Comerse isn't that, comerse kind of gives a little twist to the meaning of that verb. Comerse is something people will use when what they mean is like, hey, eat up everybody, chow down, eat it up, eat it all up. Okay, comerse just gives a little more zhuzh to that idea of comer, eat. It means, yeah, it's what you say to a group of people when they all get together and you want them to clean that plate, comerse. That's what it indicates. And some verbs show reciprocal actions. That is, that people are doing an activity to each other, to each other. So you are from time to time going to see some verbs like this, which, and conocerse is the one we practiced in class, to know each other. Sometimes verbs are reflexives because two people or a group of people are doing these activities to each other. They might be hurting each other. Actually, they might be hurting themselves, but they could be hurting each other. And you'll get that from the context. Like these people are beating the you-know-what out of each other, golpearse, right? Saludarse, people say hello to each other. That's reciprocal. They're doing it to each other. Conocerse, they know each other, right? Insultarse, they insult each other. Wow, that's not a happy one, but yeah. So reflexives might be that. So what I'm going to leave you with for today is I'm going to leave you with a couple of videos to watch that talk about a verb that has a very special meaning in reflexive. And people often get very confused about why is it reflexive or why is it not? And that is the verb ir. Ir, to go, versus irse. And go to yourself? No, I don't think so. So I'm going to send you the easy video that like relies a lot on English first. And then I'm going to send you to another video, which she's going to speak in Spanish, but turn on the closed captions so you can kind of follow along. And if you have trouble following all of the Spanish explanations, watch it maybe a couple of times, but watch for the examples. Irse is kind of like comerse. You don't eat yourself, but you eat up. Irse really means somebody is going away. But we use ir and irse using some little different word combinations. And it is a really, really common verb. So we'll give you some, hopefully some scaffolding, some reference, some context reference for why we would want to use ir versus irse. Okay, bien. And examples of when we use it, and we'll come back with questions about that later. And I'll give you a new story to listen to. Bien, good. So actually you'll wind up getting 3 videos, 3. Sí, bien?
Sí.
Bien.
Okay, vale. And the video will undoubtedly use some reflexives and some not. So I want you to think about, ooh, why is that maybe reflexive and why not? Or, you know, what is typically used as reflexive and what's not, and that sort of thing. Okay, vale, bien.
Bien.
Excelente. Entonces,
Gracias.
sí, de nada, es un placer.